I'm Brittany Lewis with Forbes Breaking News. During the House GOP leaders' weekly press briefing on Wednesday, Minority Whip Steve Scalise discussed concerns about a possible recession. This comes one day before GDP numbers are released on Thursday. The Louisiana Republican accused President Biden of, quote, spending more time trying to redefine what inflation and a recession is, rather than working to lay out a plan to stop us from going into a recession. Recessions are traditionally defined by a fall in GDP in 2 successive quarters. But the White House has pointed to conflicting information, like a tight labor market and job growth, as a sign that the standard indicator should not trigger the same alarm bells. In fact, the National Bureau of Economic Research may not declare it a recession due to other signs that contradict what may well be a fall in GDP.
And with that, I would like to yield to my friend from Louisiana, Whip Steve Scalise.
Thank you, Dr. Wenstrup and my colleagues. Unfortunately, later this week, economists are expecting that it will be confirmed that the United States is in a recession. We've seen the indicators for months now, families paying more for goods everywhere they go. If you go to the grocery store, you're paying 20-30% more. Gasoline, of course, has more than doubled from what it was before Biden took office. And so you would think Joe Biden would be spending all of his time trying to figure out a plan to fix this crisis. But in fact, we're seeing the opposite. We're seeing denial. And what you've seen the last week is President Biden spending more time trying to redefine what inflation and a recession is, rather than working to lay out a plan to stop us from going into a recession or to get us out of a recession. And the real simple answer is just by reversing so many of the failed policies that President Biden has put in place since he's taken office that have caused this recession. You can't redefine your way out of a recession. You've got to reverse the failed policies. But the first step to fixing any kind of crisis is to first admit the crisis, admit the problem that he's created, and he won't do it. Joe Biden won't look the American people in the eye and admit that his programs have failed. He won't admit that he has brought this country into a recession. Instead, he just wants to keep denying and try to redefine the term recession. American people know better. The American people know what caused these problems. They've seen the spending, the trillions of dollars in spending, paying people not to work, bailing out failed states, picking winners and losers. And then ultimately what you've seen on energy, literally attacking American energy while he flies off to foreign countries, begging them to produce the energy that we could be producing here a lot cleaner at lower costs, lower emissions, lowering gasoline prices. But Joe Biden won't do that. In fact, earlier this week, Joe Biden sent some of his minions here to Congress trying to get House Democrats to go brag about how low gas prices are. Can you believe how out of touch Joe Biden is as president, that he's trying to get Democrats in Congress to brag that gas prices are low? Everybody knows how high gas prices are and that they're double what they were the day that he took office and started an assault on American energy. Now, if Nancy Pelosi wanted to work with us to solve the problem, there are a lot of offers we put on the table to lower gas prices. But as you can see this week, like we've seen week after week, Democrats have no plan to solve any of these problems. They don't have any plan to solve the inflation crisis. Democrats have no plan to solve gasoline crisis. Democrats have no plan to solve the border crisis. They just want to keep spending. They just want to keep going down this far left radical road that has caused all of these problems. The good news is, over this August recess, you're going to see Republicans fanning out all across the country talking about our commitment to America, what we would do to lay out a plan that would solve these crises that Joe Biden and Speaker Pelosi have created. We're going to lay out a plan for how to get inflation under control. We're going to be laying out our plan for how to lower gas prices, for how to secure America's border, for how to put parents in charge of their kids' education again, so that we can actually have the ability for parents to pull back the veil, as we saw during COVID, for so many of the things that were going wrong in schools when union bosses were sided with over kids. That's what we're going to be talking about during this August recess. And I think you're going to see more of a hunger than ever before for those bold conservative policies that would solve these problems in the face of Democrats from President Biden to Speaker Pelosi on down who have no plan to fix the crises that they've created. With that, we'd be happy to take some questions.